So I was only gonna do one video, but I kind of had so much fun with it that I decided to go on the Friendly Atheist channel. I can't remember what it's called. It's not the Friendly Atheist, that's his website. Whatever that channel is called, I can't remember. But I wanted to go on the channel and just comb through some more videos of his because I just find it fascinating with how much confidence this guy makes these terrible, terrible arguments, and that he actually has a whole website. But anyway, so I found this video talking about the fine tuning argument. And anybody who knows me knows I really like the fine tuning argument. I think it's one of the strongest arguments out there. So I had to hear his rebuttal. And when I did, it did not disappoint.
One of the arguments that Christian apologists love to trot out is the idea of a fine-tuned universe.
That's because it's a good argument. I'll link a video to it in the description if anybody's interested.
The apologists say that the physics required for the universe and us to exist are so precise, and changing any one of those constants would basically make life on this planet impossible. Therefore, God must have set the whole universe into motion just perfectly, everything working according to his will. There's just no way it could have happened like that on its own.
I did skip a portion of his explanation because he clearly doesn't understand the fine-tuning argument and he grossly oversimplified it. I'll give a link to the full video. I'm just saying that because I'm realizing this is cut together to make him look smarter than he is.
There are so many things wrong with this argument.
Well, if there's one thing I hate, it's being wrong, so please enlighten me.
The simplest response is that regardless of the impossible odds,
why did you use air quotes with odds? That's what probability is.
The truth is, if they really were impossible, we wouldn't be here right now contemplating the miracle of existence.
Well, no one ever said it was impossible, just highly, highly, highly improbable.
There's a famous analogy that author Douglas Adams used. It's like a puddle in a hole who thinks, wow, this hole perfectly fits my shape. It's like it was made for me.
Well, that's a terrible analogy because water is a liquid. It will fit any hole, regardless of its shape, whereas life wouldn't fit any universe, hence the fine-tuning argument.
No, it's more like you found a way to fit into the hole. Similarly, the universe wasn't created for us. We evolved to fit the universe.
No one ever said the universe was created for us, and the whole point of the fine-tuning argument is that it's improbable that we should have been able to evolve at all. We couldn't have evolved if we didn't have a planet to evolve on or atoms to evolve from.
And if the parameters weren't right for us to exist, then we wouldn't be here right now talking about it.
Well, you stated the argument. Still waiting for that rebuttal.
Let me offer a different way of looking at this. Forget the universe. Just look at your own life and how many improbable things had to happen for your life to turn out as it did.
Well, you just stated the problem with your own analogy. Your life could have gone differently, but it still would have been your life.
And of course, you have to think about the countless number of our ancestors meeting and mating, and all the things that had to go right for you to be here today, the one magical sperm finding the egg, and all the ways things could have gone differently.
A different sperm could have made it, but it still would have produced a person. So let me fix that analogy. I'll use the sperm thing. Imagine if, out of all of the sperm, only one of them could have produced a person at all, and the rest of them were duds. On top of that, there was only one woman in the world, and she only had one shot at getting pregnant. Oh, and there are a billion sperm cells. The chances of that woman getting pregnant are unimaginably small, and yet the pregnancy would still be 1 times 10 to the 42 times more likely than a life-permitting universe. And that's only using the gravitational constant. That's not even including all of the other ones.
Our lives are nothing but a large string of coincidences pulled together. Each one seems incredible on its own, and it really would be impossible to predict it all in advance.
Yeah, the odds of a life-permitting universe existing are about the same as someone accurately predicting the events of the rest of your life. Very, very close to impossible.
It only looks miraculous in hindsight, and we don't get to see what the alternatives could have been.
Well, that's the beauty of science. You can model and simulate the alternatives, and the vast majority of the alternatives yield lifeless universes.
One last example.
Thank God.
Get a deck of cards and shuffle them really well. Then look at the order of those cards. The odds that they would have been arranged in that way is astronomically small. But it had to go in some order. It's only weird if you ask yourself why it had to end up in that way, as if there was some divine hand guiding that order.
This stuff sounds really clever, doesn't it? Here's the trouble with shuffling cards. You know a shuffled deck when you see one. The cards are obviously arranged in a random order. So let's fix that analogy. You find a deck of cards lying around, and they're arranged in order by suit and number. Now, which is more likely? That someone shuffled them and they happened to fall perfectly in order, or that someone purposely arranged them in that order?
So back to fine-tuning. The universe works the same way. If some of those constants were different, it's true, we may not be here today. Not as us. But maybe some other planets and other life forms could have evolved.
That's not how it works. If the constants were different, there would be no planets. There would be no stars. There would be no chemistry. No life of any conceivable kind would be possible.
Or maybe we would have adapted to different conditions.
Yeah, we would have adapted to a universe with no atoms.
But to say that the universe was fine-tuned just for us requires this assumption that we're special and that the universe was geared toward creating us.
You say us like humans are the only thing in the universe.
It's a very arrogant approach to the world.
I agree, which is why it's not an approach I or pretty much any other Christian takes.
And it's not based in any evidence.
You know, the fact that the universe appears to be fine-tuned is evidence, right? Even if it's wrong or you don't accept it, it's still evidence.
Sorry, we're just not that important.
Speak for yourself.
And you know what? If the universe really were fine-tuned, maybe more of it would be hospitable to life. Way more than 99% of the universe is a giant death trap for us.
So do you mean hospitable to life or hospitable to humans? You were the one just going on about how life of some other kind could exist. There's no Christian doctrine that states the universe was made for us. In fact, the Bible clearly says God made it for himself. So there you have it, one of the poorest attempts at rebutting the fine-tuning argument I've ever heard.